Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Bender. I'm the president of the Minneapolis City Council. I'm joined by Council President Andrea Jenkins. And before we begin our official business today, we want to take the time to recognize Municipal Clerks Week. And we have all of our amazing clerk staff who support the City Council day in and day out in engaging with community, making decisions, running our meetings smoothly, running our elections. And I will say this is one of the many areas of our city's work where we have national leaders in our city, and we are constantly recognized across the country for the work that our clerks department is doing. So I am going to read the resolution and part of it and then hand it over to the Council Vice President. And we do expect Mr. Carl to join us for the pictures. No, okay, all right. Someone's going to tackle you and take the phone, and someone else is going to take the picture. Councilmember Fletcher is going to be.
It's proper right here.
We insist. Okay, recognizing Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas municipal clerks are among the oldest of public servants, playing a vital and time-honored role in the affairs of communities across the world by ensuring the integrity of the foundational aspects of government, from ensuring the integrity of elections, providing impartial access to government information, and recording for posterity the history of the cities they serve. And whereas in 1969, the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, the leading worldwide organization dedicated to the profession of municipal clerks, initiated Municipal Clerks Week as a way of commemorating the importance of the clerk's office, a fact further highlighted by proclamations issued by President Reagan and President Clinton.
Whereas, in fulfilling the duties entrusted to them, the International Institute of Municipal Clerks Professional Code of Conduct requires clerks to be ever mindful of their oath of neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all while striving continuously to improve the administration of their offices, serving as a critical link between local elected officials, government agencies, and the public. And whereas the city of Minneapolis has a team of election administrators, information managers, and clerks who serve all residents by ensuring a representative system of democratic government is achieved, that government decision-making processes are accessible, and that government records and that government records enable the people to hold their officials and government agencies accountable. And whereas 2019 marks the 50th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week, which is May 5th through May 11th, it is an appropriate time to recognize the accomplishments of the office of the city clerk. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the city council do hereby recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2019 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extends appreciation to the professionals of the office of the city clerk for their exemplary dedication and service of the city of Minneapolis. Thank you, the office of the clerk.
Mr. Carl, do you want to say anything? Thank you so much, all of you, very, very much. Good morning again. My name is Lisa Bender. I'm the president of the Minneapolis City Council. I'm going to call this regular meeting of the City Council for May 3rd, 2019 to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Here.
Jenkins.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
Warsami.
Present.
Cunningham.
Present.
Ellison.
Present.
Goodman is absent. Johnson.
Present.
Palmisano.
Present.
Gordon.
Here.
Kano.
Here.
Reich. Here. President Bender.
Here.
There are 12 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. I would like to note that Councilmember Goodman is out of town attending to family matters related to a death in her family. We have the agenda for today's meeting before us. I have a motion to amend the agenda to include as part of the closed session the litigation matter of John Ruszczyk as trustee for the next of kin of Justine Maya Ruszczyk versus Noor et al. Is there a second?
Second.
All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That motion carries. Are there any other amendments to the agenda from council members? Seeing none, may I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That carries, and the agenda as amended is adopted. Next, we have the minutes from our adjourned meeting of April 18th and the regular meeting of April 19th for acceptance. May I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That carries, and those minutes are accepted. Finally, we have the referral, petitions, communications, and reports to the proper committees. May I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That carries, and those referrals are made. I do want to recognize that we have a number of members from our community here today, and we want to welcome you to City Hall, and thank you for coming. It is part of the values of this City Council to always welcome community voice as much as possible. So we may have some discussion about how to do that best today, but I just want to acknowledge that you're here and welcome you to City Hall, and thank you for your continued leadership and work in our community. The next order of business is reports from our standing committees. We will begin with the report from the Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee presented by Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you, Council President. The Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee has 17 items to bring to the Council today. The first one is approving applications for the Roti Mediterranean restaurant for sidewalk cafe license, and also approving an application for on-sale wine with strong beer with no live entertainment license. Item number 2 is approving the application for Good Times for adding a on-sale wine with strong beer license, no live entertainment license, adding a sidewalk cafe with 10 seats, as well as approving a sidewalk cafe license. Item number 3 is approving applications for the lowbrow for on-sale liquor with Sunday sales and no live entertainment license. Item number 4 is approving applications for Taqueria Los Ocampo for an extended hours of operations license. Item number 5 is approving the application for Chatterbox for an on-sale with liquor and Sunday sales and limited entertainment license. Item number 6 is approving application for France 44 Cheese Shop for an on-sale liquor with Sunday sales and no live entertainment license. Item number 7 is the passage of a resolution adopting the assessment, levying the assessment, and adopting the assessment for the property assessed clean energy financing in the amount of $279,000 for a solar project at Bryn Glass facility located at 2300 North 2nd Street. Item number 8 is authorizing the terms for a land sale. Sorry about that. Authorizing the terms for a land sale and the execution of a land sale redevelopment agreement with the Indigenous Peoples Task Force for 2313 13th Avenue South for $1 for construction of the Mikawandam Autosukan Art and Wellness Center project, and also authorizing the write-down of 2313 13th Avenue South and the interfund transfer for the CARF fund for the amount of $225 $1,864. Item number 9 is the liquor license approvals. Item number 10 is the liquor license renewals. Items number 11 are the gambling license approvals. Item number 12 are the gambling license renewals. Item number 13 is approving application for the Harriet Inn for on-sale liquor with Sunday sales and no live entertainment license. Item number 14 is the business license operating conditions for Northeast Palace. I'm gonna pull out item number 15 for right now, but item number 15 is adopting a rental license conditions and stipulated agreement. I'll read the whole thing when we discuss it. Item number 16 is the Business Technical Assistance Program and authorizing the grant agreements for the 2019 program. Item number 17 is authorizing the grant agreements for funding business districts revitalization activities. That's the Great Streets program of 2019. And I will move items 1 through 14, 16, and 17 for approval.
Councilmember Ellison has moved the EDRS report items 1 through 14 and then 16 and 17. That means we will come back to item 15 after the council discusses and votes on these other items. Is there any discussion from council members on those items? Moved by Councilmember Ellison. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Worsani.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon. Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries and those items are adopted. Councilmember Ellison, I'll return to you for item 15.
Thank you, Council President. A few things for item 15. I'm having technical difficulties with my computer, but one is a simple change to make. I'll read through the whole item, but one is moving to amend paragraph 2 of item 15 by striking and adding language as follows. Minneapolis City Council hereby adopting the rental license conditions and stipulated agreements for the rental dwelling licenses held by LO1 LLC, LO2 LLC, LO3 LLC, H. Scott Properties, and LLC Lucian Holdings LLC, and C&K Property LLC for the properties located at 3700 Grand Avenue South, 3215 First Avenue South, 3115 Cedar Avenue South, 306 Oak Grove Street, 316 Oak Grove Street, 3554 Emerson Avenue South, 2530 First Avenue South, 2531 First Avenue South, 2726 Girard Avenue South, 905 Franklin Avenue West, 3100 Bloomington Avenue, 2020 Nicollet Avenue, 3140 Minnehaha Avenue, 3146 Minnehaha Avenue, 25 25th Street East, 2443 Nicollet Avenue, 3211 Minnehaha Avenue, and 3013 Grand Avenue, allowing the licensees to obtain the rental dwelling license for said properties subject to adherence with the conditions contained herein. 2, approving the reinstatement of the rental dwelling license for said properties, having agreed to provide an acceptable management plan and verification that said properties will come to compliance with rental license standards. This item is related to a portion of the Friends properties that we've been struggling to deal with here in the city of Minneapolis, and so I wanted to list the properties out so that folks know which properties that we are sort of entering into this agreement with. And these conditions are going to be subject to these owners being able to get traditional financing. The reason that we've had to kind of go through all of this is because Friends still had an ownership stake in the properties. And we're trying to figure out how we can make it so that that's not the case while also not displacing the residents of those particular addresses. So that's for my colleagues who maybe didn't have background on item 15. And I also know that my colleagues would like to discuss. I know that we also have a number of residents here, and that my colleagues would like to discuss how we want to acknowledge the folks who are in the room who may not be from these particular addresses but are a part of other friends' properties that are sort of just falling through the cracks here and that the city's struggling to deal with. So I'll sort of pitch it to my colleagues. I know for discussion on how we want to acknowledge the folks in the room. And so I believe Alondra or Councilmember Cano had a proposal.
Thank you. Councilmember Ellison has moved item 15 as amended in front of us. Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilmember Ellison. So we are very glad that you're here today. We know that the issue that many of you are here to address is very important to a lot of the families who are feeling the lack of housing security, and we know this issue has been going on for a while. I'll acknowledge that, we wish the city of Minneapolis could do more, and what we want to figure out is what more can we do. We've been having conversations with colleagues in our city attorney's office, and I know that myself and Councilmember Ellison, who is the vice chair of our Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee, are both available to meet with you this weekend, Saturday or Sunday, if we can work through one of the folks here to help us figure out what that time might look like, so we can get into the details of the initiatives or strategies that we can try to push next week or the week that follows. It's my understanding that some folks in this room might be forced maybe out of their homes soon. I'm not quite sure if the time frame is 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks at this point, but we did discuss briefly giving the chance to a couple of people, maybe 2 or 3 folks, to come and share their story with us during this part of the agenda. And so if our colleagues would allow that, I think that would be the next step.
Thank you. And so in order to allow public testimony at city council meetings, we need to have a vote to suspend the rules. That would need a motion and a second, and then needs to be the vote would need to pass by 2/3 of the city council members who are here. I do want to ask our city attorney to comment on the potential impacts of having an unnoticed public hearing on a quasi-judicial legal issue. And just from the perspective of all of us working really hard to make sure that we're both protecting tenants and advocating for our community, I just think we need to understand from our attorney's office any potential impacts of public testimony today.
Madam Chair, I'd be happy to do that. In a proceeding that involves a where the council is sitting in the role of a judge, we call them quasi-judicial proceedings. There are set procedures for what kind of evidence and testimony you can consider, and the record in that proceeding has now been closed. And so without reopening it and doing proper notice, so that everyone who has standing to present evidence to be able to participate, it is not proper.
Thank you. And if any council members have questions on that or other comments, I will welcome them. Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. So I just wanted to clarify. So once again, I do want to say that Councilmember Ellison and I are available to meet with folks this weekend to dig deeper into some of the matters that we perhaps may not be able to get into at this meeting. So just curious. So allowing a couple of people to speak today would be considered a quasi-judicial matter? I just want us to kind of have that clarity for not only myself, but also my residents and the public here today.
If the testimony relates at all to the propriety of the decision being made that's in front of the council today, the answer is yes. You would have to reopen it, properly notice it, and take additional testimony.
Could the testimony simply focus on people's sense of urgency around trying to find affordable housing solutions and not mention specific property owners' names?
That would be up to the council to determine whether to depart from their rules. as long as it didn't touch on any of the legal issues in front of the council today. But anytime you suspend the rules to allow only certain people to speak and don't allow members of the general public to speak, that's a consideration that you need to take into account when you make that determination.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ellison?
If the council is and I would be, while I'm not in favor of suspending the rules because I do think that it creates a dangerous precedent, in this instance, I do think that, Councilmember Cano is dealing with a tough issue in her ward, and that I would be, that in this instance, I am willing to support my colleague in dealing with this tough issue in her ward. And if folks were, and if we could keep the comments limited to 2 or 3, 3 comments, then I would be extremely open to that. For our attorney, would it be easier for us to simply resolve item 15 from the agenda before suspending the rules?
Madam Chair and Councilmember Ellison, yes, I would advise that.
Then I'll go ahead and move item 15 for approval, and then we can take this up once it's resolved. Once this matter is resolved.
So Councilmember Ellison has reiterated his motion, and we do not have a motion currently to suspend the rules. I have a number of council members in queue to speak, and I will just call on them to make sure they still want to comment. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. That was actually going to be my suggestion, my question to the city attorney, because I would like to hear from the folks here. And so if there is a way to strike that balance where we're honoring our quasi-judicial obligations while also being able to hear from residents, I'd like to do that.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to share that typically I don't support suspending the rules for public testimony because I think it's fair to be able to have a fair notice for public hearings. However, I think it's really important at the same time that we have folks here who typically are not engaged in City Hall and the civic process. And I think it's really important that we have voices who are not typically engaged here. So I just wanted to name my support for that.
Councilmember Cano.
Thank you, Madam President. So I just want to make sure that we don't miss the opportunity to make the motion to suspend the rules to allow 2 or 3 people to speak on the urgency of finding affordable housing solutions for our community. So I would like to make that motion right now, and you can feel free to let me know if we need to. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little nervous because I heard you say we don't have a motion, so I just want to make sure that it's clear that the motion is going to be made, and I want to make it. So I don't want to get stuck in some kind of funny
I understand.
logistical issue here.
Under advice from our city attorney, my preference would be to take up Councilmember Ellison's motion first, resolve that, and then take up Councilmember Cano's motion after the vote.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I've just been traumatized by the lack of ability to speak on issues before, so I just want to make sure that it's on there.
It's okay. Is there any further discussion on Councilmember Ellison's amended motion for item 15 on the EDRS agenda? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Cano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and item 15 is adopted. Next, we have a motion from Councilmember Cano to suspend the rules of the Minneapolis City Council to allow for public testimony on the general issue of evictions and housing stability. She can correct that as she may want to. I would suggest a time limitation given our agenda for today, and I'll see if there is a second.
Second.
So the motion has been made and seconded. Councilmember Cano, do you want to offer how do you feel about offering a set time frame for the discussion?
Yes, we can do 3 minutes per testimony, as we had been asked to have 2 or 3 folks speak. So if we can please stick to that and try to stay within a time frame that's respectable, so we can all move along with the other issues that we have. We have several big things today, and this is one of them, and that's why it's important for us to hear your voice as well. Okay. In that case, I'm going to move to amend the motion to set we haven't voted. I'm going to move to amend the motion, which we will still have to vote on, and that will require a 2/3 vote to cap the total amount of time to 10 minutes.
which in speaking with folks sounded like about the amount of time that was planned for anyway. Is there a second on the amendment? All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That amendment carries. So the motion before us is to suspend the rules of the City Council to allow for 10 minutes of public testimony at the City Council meeting today. I do want to pause I want to take very seriously this question of ongoing litigation and legal issues that are in front of the City Council. It is our commitment, and we've made a number of financial investments and policy changes to aggressively go after landlords. And so I just want to make sure that whatever happens today isn't somehow limiting our potential to defend our decisions in court or creating legal liability for the city that would be counterproductive to our goals in these cases. Ms. Siegel, could you help us and maybe potentially give some more guidance to what kinds of things that would look like?
Madam Chair, yes. General comments would be all right. But excuse me, I'm sorry, I was distracted with something.
Okay.
I was distracted. If you could repeat the question.
course.
I was distracted trying to manage another
We have a busy
situation
day
back in my
today.
office.
If the City Council votes to allow for public testimony,
Yes.
I'm concerned about not only just the matters that we just voted on, but potential future legal matters in related properties or generally, particularly as we have begun investing in budget and policy change related to tenant remedy actions and other legal actions on behalf of tenants. So I just wanted to see if you could comment on that concern and if there are any parameters that you want to offer so that we don't in the future jeopardize the city's position to defend any other legal matters that would be before us in these cases.
Madam Chair, thank you, and again, my apologies. I strongly caution against accepting any testimony or comments about the merits of tenant matters. I think general comments about the personal experiences of tenants and some of their difficulties is fine, but it could impair the defensibility of future city actions in trying to hold landlords accountable in legal matters. And so we do not want to jeopardize the many tools available to the city, ranging from tenant remedies actions to revocation of licenses, by in any way jeopardizing the evidentiary and due process requirements when the city council sits as a judge in what we call quasi-judicial proceedings. And it does create openings for challenges to future city council actions.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or questions on the motion in front of us as amended? Councilmember Gordon.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that I'll support the motion, although I don't necessarily typically do. But I also wanted to state that as chair of the Housing Policy and Development Committee, issues of rent stabilization, community ownership, cooperatives, what to do about evictions, and displacement are all big policy issues that the committee wants to grapple with and get involved in. And I would be happy to set aside a half hour or longer in that committee if people wanted to come in actually and share thoughts and concerns and their stories in a more formal setting with more time to be involved. It would be important, though, to schedule that ahead of time so I can notice it on the agenda so that everybody knows they can come in and speak in an open forum under that general whatever we put on the agenda categories. But I'd be happy to do that. And I'm also, I'll let folks know that I've attended some of the events concerning these properties also and been involved in those activities, and I'm following it all very closely. And if there's other meetings you want to invite me to or other council members to stay involved and informed, I'm sure that we would be willing, I would be willing, and I suspect many of us would be willing and able to show up for those as well. So just because it's only 9 minutes today, with all this framework around it, doesn't mean you can't make bigger impacts along the way. So just wanted to make that clear. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Gordon. And that committee meets every other Wednesday with its next meeting on Wednesday, May 8th. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify for the audience and the community that has arrived. Any comments about specific properties, specific landlords, impairs our ability to help with the very issues that you are here to discuss today. And so we want to make sure that we are keeping the comments general as possible.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to echo, I'm really concerned about us causing harm to future ability to be able to do the work. We have so many renters. I represent North Minneapolis, just have a lot of concerns about the potential of us causing damage to our own ability. We have limited power as city council, and we operate within the judicial system. And so I would strongly, I don't want to necessarily make a motion because I want to follow the lead of the chair, but I do think it would be better for us to have a public hearing specifically at the public housing, or excuse me, the Housing Policy and Development Committee, so that we can have a full, robust conversation rather than saying, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, you have a couple minutes and only a couple people can talk. Because right now we're sort of setting everybody up, I feel like, for failure, and including us, by not being able to do the kind of work that we're digging into more and more every day. And as we are building power, both with the community and as communities building power, I want us to we have to operate within the systems that we are given, unfortunately, and this is something that can actually cause us harm. And so I feel like it would be better for us to create a public hearing at the HPD committee, so that we're able to have a better, robust conversation rather than, again, having you can't say this, you can't say that, only two people can talk, and we're going to have a conversation for 9 minutes. And so I will refer to the chair of HPD to see if that is an idea he's willing to entertain. I would rather follow your lead if you feel like this is better for us to do this here. I'm open to that, but I have concerns for us actually inhibiting voice of folks both here and in the future.
I do want to just clarify, I'm happy to recognize Councilmember Gordon. Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Gordon. I do want to recognize the home committee of this work is the EDRS committee, which is the one, or the report that we're discussing that Councilmember Ellison is vice chair of. That doesn't mean we can't have that discussion at HPD, but the legal matters and the quasi-judicial decisions related to all of this work, rental licenses, goes through the EDRS committee. So that's a discussion we could have about what's the best way to handle all of that. I think the broader policy discussion probably does make more sense to have at HPD. And Councilmember Gordon is on both of those committees, so I'll recognize Councilmember Gordon.
Thanks. I just wanted to note first, since you mentioned the May 8th meeting, that agenda's been set. I would prefer to have the discussion later so I can give more proper notice, but we meet every other Wednesday. I would also like to note that when it comes to the quasi-judicial matters, that does go to the regulatory services, the economic development regulatory services. And so if there was going to be a public hearing on actual license revocation or reinstatement or those kinds of things, it would go there specifically. Thanks.
Councilmember Ellison.
I really respect and appreciate everything that my colleagues are saying. I also, the one thing that does give me a lot of comfort in allowing this particular group to speak is that they have sort of been dragged through the legal rigmarole for years on end. And so I think that when it comes to navigating how they discuss how they talk about the issues they're facing, I don't know that we're going to get a group of tenants more equipped to do so than this group here. And as long as this group feels like they still want to opt into their 10 minutes today and having 3 speakers come speak to us today, I'm still in support of suspending the rules.
Mr. Clerk.
Madam President, I was only going to suggest, I think I mentioned, sort of indicated, but if we could have the speaker sign in too, that would help us with the record. Thanks.
Is there any further discussion from council members? Seeing none, why don't we call the roll?
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader. Aye. Warsami.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries. That means our rules have been suspended and we have 10 minutes to allow testimony on the general topic of tenant protections and evictions and experiences related to being a renter in the city of Minneapolis, something that is dear to a lot of our hearts. So we welcome you here. I do want to make sure we keep to the time, and I just want to re-emphasize again the importance of the legal context that our city attorney advised us on. Welcome.
Hola, buenos días a todos los concejales. Mi nombre es Denise Herrera. Vivo en la 3141 de la 22 Avenida South en Minneapolis.
Good afternoon. My name is Denise Herrera. I live in 3122 22nd Avenue South.
Bueno, antes que nada, pues estoy aquí porque estoy en pie de lucha para tener una vivienda digna, ya que realmente yo llevo ya 4 años viviendo en los edificios de la 31 y 42. Estoy aquí con mis compañeros ya porque cada uno estamos peleando por una vivienda justa.
And so, hey, thanks everybody for welcoming us today, and thanks for giving us time here. We've been, struggling for the last four years under our landlord, and we're here to talk about the situation in which we're trying to create a cooperative.
Mi pregunta para ustedes sería ¿qué están haciendo ustedes por mi comunidad? Porque realmente yo no he visto mucho el apoyo de parte de cada uno de ustedes realmente, porque necesitamos mucho el apoyo para ver qué solución podemos tener de cada uno de ustedes para que apoyen más a mi comunidad.
My question is that I really haven't seen a lot of support from you all, and I'm asking, what are you all doing for the community? What are you all doing for renters in the community?
Y también quiero acertar a toda mi gente que seguimos siempre de lucha, ya que necesitamos una vivienda digna para que cada familia tenga un hogar. Y esa es mi pregunta y espero tener una buena respuesta y una solución lo más pronto que se pueda. Gracias, que tengan buen día.
And what I'm just asking is that when I follow up with that question, I'm asking that I wish that you would support us. I wish that you would back us up. I wish that you would be there for us. And I want to leave you with that question. Thank you and have a beautiful weekend.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Gracias. Muy buenos días.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Gracias por hacernos notar en nuestra voz y gracias por permitirnos hablar frente a ustedes.
Thanks for permitting us to speak. Thanks for opening up our voice, and thanks for letting us be here.
Mi familia tiene un problema de desalojo.
My family has a problem with evictions.
Creo yo que estamos en una situación muy difícil. Y por lo consiguiente, la ciudad no está dando respuestas ni soluciones a la problemática que tenemos durante muchos meses.
We're in a very, very difficult time in terms of evictions.
We have a number of council members on this body who frequently receive threats, and I understand that is not happening right now, but we just have to pause because we can't allow people to come back behind the dais like this in the middle of council meetings. I understand. You can go down there. There are a lot of other places. I cannot emphasize enough how serious this is.
Dale.
Gracias, Andrew.
Dale, sí.
El que estemos...
We have about 5 minutes left of this
Sí,
time.
esto es lo que está ocasionando.
So I'm being evicted. This is what's happening.
El que nosotros estemos involucrados más en lucha.
And we're being involved
Que
in the
toda
struggle.
esta gente
that
se está
everybody
involucrando
here
en mi caso.
is coming to my
Que estoy a
support.
punto de perder mi casa.
And I'm almost to lose my
Estoy a
home.
horas o días de ser
Hours or
desalojada.
days that I'm going to be evicted
Y
from
que
my
creo
home.
que la ciudad no ha tenido la pertinencia
And I
en
don't think the
darse
city has actually
un
been on my side.
involucramiento, una
They haven't
responsabilidad
had
conjunta
involvement. They
con la
haven't had a
sociedad.
responsibility with the civil
Queremos
society.
una vivienda digna.
We want dignified homes.
Creo que este gobierno se involucró en vivienda.
I think that this government,
no ha hecho nada
stood
por
by our
todos
side to
nosotros.
be inside of an affordable housing agenda.
Queremos soluciones.
We want solutions.
Soluciones para todas las personas que estamos
We
en
want
problemas de
solutions that
desalojo.
are in problems of people who are in
Por
evictions
favor,
right
se
now.
los pido por mi hija
What
y
I'm
por
asking,
toda
I'm
esta
asking for my
familia
daughter and
que
all the
estamos aquí
families
y
that are
que de
here.
alguna manera no queremos ser
That
callados.
we do not want to be shut up and we want to be listened to.
Thank you.
Well, I spoke with you guys last September 26th, about this situation. I came and I told you guys that my neighbors and I are actually facing an eviction. And so now it's here. Vanessa, we don't know exactly how long she has or any of us have. And so like Vanessa and Denise said, what are you guys going to do to step up to help us? Because this isn't fair. And we knew about this for months. And you guys put us in a situation. That's crazy. That is crazy. I sat down and talked with people after that meeting and stuff, and you guys haven't showed up for anything. Nobody has come to support us. We've had block parties and everything, and I've sent everybody emails, all of you guys, personally, like, hey, can you guys come out here just to support us, just to say, hey, we support you guys. We understand what you're going through. Because you guys get to go home tonight, sleep in the comfort of your beds, not worried about if you're gonna be put out your house and stuff like that. You guys are calm and cool. We have to wake up and, we wonder about this every single night. Our kids are sitting there wondering about this. This is not cool. So I'm asking, what are you guys gonna do?
Thank you. So that concludes the public hearing. I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and thank you for coming today. We did have an offer from council members Cano and Ellison to meet this weekend, and I know that that was sincere, and you have their cell phone numbers and are in contact with them. So I am going to give us a little time to transition, and then the next item on our agenda is the report from the Housing Policy and Development Committee given by Councilmember Gordon.
Any offer, who can let us sleep in your house? Any more of you guys? Anybody want to offer?
When you gonna speak to the tenant?
Really, anybody of you guys want to see who can keep Vanessa? It's he. Who wants to open up their house? Who wants to open up?
Oh no, you want half
or a backyard or a front yard? Can we can't make your place? Really? Can we can't make your place?
Blank stairs? These are your constituents right here.
Here's a song for you guys. City council, you can't hide. We can see your pretty side. City council, you can't hide. We can see your pretty side.
Okay, we have a very long day ahead of us, so I'm going to ask that Councilmember Gordon be ready to present the HPD committee report as soon as we can hear our colleague. Councilmember Gordon, please go ahead.
Just collecting my thoughts, Madam President. So the housing.
The families that's going to be on the streets. People, think about them.
Councilmember Gordon, are you ready to go ahead with the Housing Policy and Development Report, or should I move on to another committee?
No, I'm ready.
Thank you.
We're bringing 3 items forward for consideration today. The first is a land sale at 2406 McNair Avenue North. Second is the 2019 Affordable Housing Trust Fund Program Policies, Procedures, and Requests for Proposals. It's approving those. And the third item is approving our year 2020 Housing Tax Credit Program Qualified Allocation Plan and Procedure Manual. I'll move all 3 items forward for approval.
Councilmember Gordon has moved the Housing Policy and Development Report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader. Aye. Warsami.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich. President Bender.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. The next item on our agenda is the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee, presented by the Chair, Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam President. The Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee brings forward 4 items for approval today. The first is approving mayoral appointments to the Violence Prevention Steering Committee. The appointments of John Turnipseed, Dr. Rachel Hardman, and School Board Director Kimberly Caprini. Number 2 is accepting a grant from the Pew Charitable Trust to the amount of $50,000 to implement resilience model replication at Minneapolis public housing sites through MOU-based emergency preparedness, resident engagement strategies, healthy home visits, solar installation, and energy audits for eligible properties owned and managed by Little Earth of United Tribes. Item number 3 is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health in the amount of $15,000 to conduct blood lead testing events in neighborhoods that have low rates of lead screening. And item number 4 is we had a presentation from the multi-jurisdictional task force on opioids, and there was a staff direction to further evaluate the opioid task force recommendations, including replicating the Next Step program for opioid work, creating a system of navigators to connect those in need of services to services, and increase education and harm reduction services, and development of an overdose mortality review program. Explore funding options and determine priorities based on potential positive results and feasibility, and report back to the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee on a quarterly basis. And with that, I move approval of those 4 items.
Councilmember Cunningham has moved the Peace Committee report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison is absent. Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich. President Bender.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. Next, we have the report from the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, given by the Chair, Councilmember Kano.
Thank you, Madam President. The Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee brings forward 4 items today. Item number 1 is authorizing a contract with Nationwide Mutual Insurance for the use of a vehicle by the Police Auto Theft Abate Vehicle Program for up to 3 years. Item number 2 is authorizing a joint powers agreement with the Minnesota Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Item number 3 is authorizing an increase to contract number C41254 with Patricia Helen for continued professional public safety coordinator services during large-scale events. And the final item is authorizing a contract with the Downtown Improvement District for the 2019 Minneapolis DID Summer Police and Police Reserve Program, and I stand for any questions.
Councilmember Kano has moved the committee report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes. ayes.
That carries and that is adopted. Next is the report from the Transportation and Public Works Committee given by the Chair, Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee forwards 17 items today. Item 1 is the Evergreen Drive Street Resurfacing Project Approval and Assessment. Item 2 is the 14th Avenue Northeast Alley Construction Approval and Assessment. Item 3 is the Hennepin Avenue South Streetscape Project Approval and Assessment. Item 4 is the 33rd Street East Street Reconstruction Project. Item 5 relates to the 2019 Alley Renovation Program, project designations and cost estimates as listed. Item 6 is the Weber Parkway, 44th Avenue North, Lyndale Avenue North, and Humboldt Avenue North project layout approval. Item 7 is agreement with the Metropolitan Council for the ACT traffic solutions for signal control along the light rail system. Item 8 is the temporary easement and right-of-way entry for the Hoyer Heights Neighborhood Sanitary Reconstruction Project. Item 9 is the construction easements for the Mid-City Industrial Phase 2 Reconstruction Project. Item 10 is the construction easements for the North Loop Reconstruction Project. Item 11 is the cooperative agreement with the Hennepin County 61st Street West Street Reconstruction Project. Item 12 is the cooperative agreement with Hennepin County for the Regional Railway Authority for the Fremont Avenue Midtown Greenway Bridge Replacement Project. 13 is the grant from the Recycling Partnership for Multifamily Recycling Support. Item 14 is the sustainable policy response of the Urban Mobility Transition Program, aka Sprout, the Minneapolis designee. That's designating Public Works Director Robin Hutchinson to represent us in that effort. Item 15 is a contract amendment with O'Medi & Sons for the Minnehaha Avenue Sanitary Replacement Project. Item 16 is the bid for fine aggregate, that is the low bid. 17 is the bid for the Hennepin Avenue Water Main Replacement Project, and that is also accepting the low bid as listed. Madam President, I move all items as submitted.
Councilmember Reich has moved the TPW report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsame.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That carries and that is adopted. Next, we have the report from the Ways and Means Committee presented by that chair, Councilmember Warsame.
Thank you, Madam President. The Ways and Means Committee brings forth 14 items for approval today. Item number 1 is a legal settlement, Faisal Yusuf versus City of Minneapolis. Item number 2 is an agreement with Hennepin County for Metro Blue Line Extension, Transit-Oriented Development Planning. Item number 3 is a collective bargaining agreement, and this is for the Building Trades Inspectors Unit from 2019 through 2021. Item number 4 is the Capital Long Range Improvement Committee appointments, approving the council appointment of Sarah Lyons Robinson, seat 26, Ward 13, for an unexpired 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2019 and ending December 31st, 2020. Item number 5 is a city investment policy review and updates. Item number 6 is a rollover of unspent 2018 appropriations into the 2019 budget. Item number 7 is a first quarter 2019 donation report. Item number 8 is a bid for the public service building project, and this is for tax-exempt materials purchases of doors, frames, and hardware. Item number 9 is a bid for the public service building project. This is for interior glazing, railings, and metal panels. Item number 10 is a contract amendment with Lejeune Steel Company for additional structural steel material supply for the public service building project. Item number 11 is a contract amendment with Spec 7 Group LLC for changes in scope of work for waterproofing for the public service building project. Item number 12 is a contract with Schindler Elevator Corporation for elevator construction and maintenance services for the public service building project. And item number 13 is a contract with Cost Planning and Management International Inc. for Owners Project Representative Services for City Hall Office Space Renovation Project. And the final item, item number 14, is a gift acceptance of airfare and lodging for immigration-related conferences. And I happily move approval of all 14 items.
Councilmember Warsame has moved approval of the Ways and Means Committee report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsame.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. Next, we have the report from the Zoning and Planning Committee given by the Chair, Councilmember Schrader.
Thank you, Madam President. The Zoning and Planning Committee will be bringing forward 2 items for approval today. The first is the approval of rezoning at 6022 Pillsbury Avenue South, and the second is the approval of rezoning as well as a street vacation for 1030 through 1040 Como Avenue Southeast, as well as 901 11th Avenue Southeast. And I move approval of both of these items.
Councilmember Schrader has moved the Zoning and Planning report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fletcher.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
President Bender.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. The next order of business today is the notice of ordinance introductions. We have 2 today. First, Councilmembers Gordon and Schrader give notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting of the subject matter of an ordinance amending the building code to add a new chapter addressing sustainability threshold requirements for certain new construction. Second, Councilmembers Fletcher and Schrader give notice of intent to introduce at the next regular meeting the subject matter of an ordinance amending the housing code to amend Chapter 244 by adding a first right of refusal to the sale of affordable housing. Are there any questions or comments on either of those notices? Seeing none, those notices are given and no further action is required. The next order of business is resolutions. Today we have the honorary resolution for Municipal Clerks Week, which was presented at the beginning of the meeting. I'll move that. All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That carries, and the resolution is adopted. Finally, we have the order of announcements. Are there any announcements from council members today? Councilmember Kano.
You can go first. You're in queue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to?
Councilmember Fletcher.
Thank you, Madam President. On a lighter note, I just want to name that there's a couple of really fantastic arts events happening in Ward 3 that I want to invite everybody to participate in. We've got Wordplay, which is going to be one of the biggest literary festivals in the country, happening over at the Loft Literary Center the weekend of the 11th. And then following that with Art Whirl the following weekend over in Northeast, which is one of the greatest visual arts festivals in the country. So just mark your calendars and everybody come on over to Ward 3 and enjoy some great art.
Councilmember Kano.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to remind folks that this weekend on Saturday we have the Farmers Market, Midtown Farmers Market grand opening and kickoff with Goat Yoga. So if you're interested, you can email me and I'll give you the registration link. This time the market is going to happen between Moon Palace Books and the Hub Bike Co-op. So it's going to be a new site. I think it's going to be really amazing. And they also sell delicious unicorn cookies that I think you're going to have to try for yourself. Also on Sunday we have our historic and 45th annual May Day celebration, parade, and festival. So I hope to see many of you out in Powderhorn to celebrate in community after a long, hard week. Gracias.
Any further announcements from council members? Seeing none, we've concluded all of the business on our regular agenda. We have a motion for a closed session related to litigation for the 2 matters that are on the agenda as amended. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to room 315 for that closed session.
So moved.
All in approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you and have a great weekend.